Traders, how you doing? Tom Willard Trading. Let's talk about the ideas I've got for this coming week. Spiders up here, SPY ETF, daily chart upper left, weekly upper right, 15-minute lower right, and the 60 minutes on the lower left. Well, based on my video from last week, what I was thinking was going to happen happened. We had a nice move down after the FOMC announcement on Wednesday afternoon. Woke up Thursday morning with a big gap down, and you can see the market pretty much just cratered throughout the day. Beautiful move down here. I actually am short the spiders. I got into it just in time on Wednesday and took profits when it hit $300 a share, and then held some, and I'm actually still holding some. Swing short on the spiders here, looking for a further move down. My general thought of what's going to happen now is I think that we're going to get further pullback. I do not believe we're going to go down here to these lows, or even 250 or 260. I'm looking right now for a pullback to around 280, okay, which is pretty significant from where we're at. You can look at your support. There's some support here at 290. There's some support here at 280, and there's some support here around 270. I'd like to see a pullback more at 280, give us a better type of retracement off this pretty pronounced move off this low, a more digestible move down, and then look to get in. I think people are still too bullish. I think there's some people scared off this move, but I think people are still buying like crazy. And any attempt for this thing to go back up in here, I'm looking to short again, unless it breaks up above this. And of course, then I'll have a stop slightly above these highs. Okay, so I think we're going to go lower. If you believe that things are going to stop here and turn around, which could technically happen. I mean, we've got a flat 200-period moving average that we came down and found support at. You've got a rising 20-period here that it found support at. The 40 is still below it. It's perfectly reasonable for this thing to turn around and go back up, especially given that it was reasonable for it to go this far without really stopping. I mean, I guess we did get about a $20 correction from top of this tail to here. I mean, from 295 to about 275, that's $20. If you look here, 322 to 300, that's about $22. So in the grand scheme of the amount of move here, this is slightly larger than here or anywhere else along this move up, which makes sense because we've come so far. We're up near these highs on the SPYs, right? So perfectly reasonable. I would just use the daily and 60-minute chart to trade. So if you think, okay, we're holding here, you can buy in this 300, low 300 area, and then I would just have my stop here under 294 maybe, support, or 290. That would be your stop area. But let me be clear, I am not doing that unless I get a massive change of my information and the charts to behave differently on Monday, which I'm not anticipating. I'm looking and I'm playing. These ideas I'm going to give you is more based on the thought processes that this stock market, this SPYs, is going to go more down to 280. And for the QQQ, I'm looking for more of a move down to, I think, around 220-ish. Yeah, about 220, 215 to 220 is where I'm looking for a pullback. Now, again, rising railroad track moving averages. Technically, you could sit here as pulled back to the 20. It's holding this nice trend. This would be a buyable event. But for me, it's made so many moves and it's come so far over this short two-month period that I'm not a buyer. I want more of a correction. I want to shake more people out of the tree before I start getting in on brand new positions. All right, so let's talk about some of the positions. Here's a couple positions I'm still in and I've been trading. So selling the extensions up, pullbacks. I think these are strong uptrends that are starting on these stocks. Wrap Technologies, beautiful breakout here, in at $5 a share, rode it up. Okay, beautiful. Sold a third of my position here at around 850. Between 850 and 9, I sold a third of my position, and when it pulled back, I bought it back here at $7 a share. So I'm still in for a full position in this Wrap Technologies. I think it's going higher. If this thing gets up to 10 in the next few days, guess what? I'm going to sell that 33% of my position again and look for another entry. You get a frothy move from 6 to 10. Right? Which is, what is that? If I do my math, 60% move from $6 to $10, it goes up $4 a share. 66% move, right? 67 maybe. In a couple days, you best be taking profits, some profits. And I'm bullish. I wouldn't sell all of it, but I'll probably sell another 33-ish% if it moves up here quickly. I like this as a long-term long idea. Genesis. Another one I've talked about here and there. Own this stock, sold it into the strength up here near the 6s. Actually got some over 6 I sold out on. Watching for a pullback. You see the railroad tracks, 20 period, 40 period, 200. Everything's starting a new uptrend. I think this thing's got lots to go. It is thin. It doesn't trade a lot of shares. I would suggest strongly that you don't go buy a boatload of stock here. You can get really killed with this thing gapping one way or the other. Actually, the other against you. But you can see here a nice support area. Right now, I'm looking to buy back those shares I sold up in here, right around $4.50 to $5 a share. That's my target. If the market can come down like I think it's going to, and this one can sell off a little bit, we shake some of those wheat people off the tree, I'll buy it back from them right in this area here. You can look on the weekly chart. Really, a pullback to $4 a share, 4.25 to 50 would be really reasonable. Now again, if you own this thing at 5.44, it isn't pain free to watch this thing go down to that area, but I see that happening, and if it does, I'm looking to buy. Okay, buy back some of those shares I sold into strength. Genesis, keep an eye on this bad boy. I think it's going higher. Zscaler. Another one, very, very strong. I don't own this one at this point, but I'm looking to buy it. It's flagging here on the daily chart. Held up really well considering what the market did. Support at 90. If we get the further push down, like I think we're going to get in the market, I'm waiting for this one to come down to 90. I want to try to pick it up at $90 a share. Okay, or maybe 88 to 90 if we can get a pullback. Now, if the market holds up, starts to make another leg higher, looks like it's going to go test those new highs. You've got a flag pattern here. You can also get in around 110 with a stop at around 95-ish. Okay, so Zscaler is one I would keep on your radar. All right, AAXN, another one strong, coming off these new highs, pulling back here. $90 is your support area. It's right around there. So what I like to see is the market continue to pull back more. And if this one can hold this $90 area, great. If it can't, it falls down to support around 80. Guess what? I'll be buying it here at 80. Okay, especially if the market's coming down, that will give me more reason to not be as concerned about this bigger pullback if the market's pulling back with it. But if the market pulls back even more, and this one can hold this area, even better. All right, market starts moving higher, this thing starts to come back up. You know, you've got an entry here about 100, stop around a little under 90. Okay, watching AAXN for another setup and more good price on the entry, if you will. 90 is pushing it a little bit. I want to see what the market's doing. I prefer move more down to the 80 area. That's a big wish for me, but Shopify, another one I don't own. You can see it's flagging here a little bit on the weekly chart. It's a big, expensive stock, so keep that in mind. You can see a pivot here, a higher pivot. It's holding. If the market can go higher, I think this one can go higher with an entry here around the high 700s and a stop under 700. But here's what I want. Based on what I told you, what I think is going to happen, I'm demanding that this thing go down to 600, 600 or 625. That's where I'm looking. Now you say, well, Tom, you're crazy. It's $742 a share as of Friday, and you want it at 600? Well, you'd be surprised. You get a pullback, you can get a nice correction in these things. People get scared out. That's what I want to see. Support here at 600. Support here at 600 on the weekly. The rising moving average will be kissing this thing if it gets down there. I like it as a target area to get in on this thing long. If you're like me and you're not long on this yet. Now, I may be buying at $800 a share. Okay, I might be. As things change, if the market changes and I'm wrong about that, we're getting more pullback and things start to go frothy and higher, I'll look to get in there and use a stop on the just pivot here or here. Okay, so Shopify, nonetheless, regardless, in my opinion, you got to have this thing on your radar, keep an eye on it, and watch it. Watch it. Etsy flagging here on the daily, flagging on the weekly, off these new highs, pulling back. Where do I want it? Well, you can look. You tell me. $70 a share, right? Support, support, minor support, minor support. That's where it's a good thing. So we get a more considerable pullback in the market, and this one can come down and shake some of them longs off that tree. I'll be buying their shares from them right here around $70 a share. That's what I want Etsy at, $70 a share. Peloton. Okay, so I own Peloton. I bought it. I actually timed my buy beautifully right here in the mid 30s, or I'm sorry, the low 30s, $33 a share, right here. Rode this thing up beautifully. Sold into the strength. Sold a quarter of my position, 25% of my position, because I'm so bullish on this thing. Bought that 25% of the position back when it kissed on 40. I had the gap support here. I literally had a limit order in to buy it back. Got filled, beautiful, and now it's back up and it's holding. This is a buy over the $49, $50 a share. Okay, is the stop wide? Yeah, it's stupid wide, right? But keep in mind, you got a kind of a cup with a handle here. It's wide. You look at what happened in the market and look at what Peloton did. Okay, it's holding up better. Watch this as a buy over 50. Now, if the market goes down more and this one follows the trend, you may get a better price here at 40. Okay, and if it gets back down that 40 area, the high 30s, I'll be buying back some of the shares. Okay, I'll be buying back even more, buying even more of the shares in that particular case if the market isn't collapsing from under us. Okay, so there's got to be some stipulation. I'm looking for a pullback to 280. It could be a little bit wild, but I want to see things settle in around 280 on that SPY. Volume start picking up. More doji bars, more narrow range bars, looking like momentum's going to change and start going back to the top side. Okay, Peloton, you owe it to yourself to have this on your long watch list. Akamai, another one, real sloppy, wide and whippy, but you can see here this big flag forming on the daily chart. It's holding up here. Okay, you got rising moving averages. This one's kind of a little more squirrely because of these wide ranges here. This was the earnings gap down here, but it's holding the area. I like this as a buy above the highs. Or in the 95 area, if we get more of a correction, you've got good support here around 95. I'd be looking to pick up shares here at $95 a share on Akamai. All right, Fortinet. Again, this is another one. I'm looking for a bargain here. I think that this thing, because this beautiful breakout and it's starting to come back down, it's you got this semi flag forming. You've got almost a double top here. All right, and a big green bar off a gap up, power gap past 120. So where's your support? Minor support is at 120. Gap support is at 120. Okay, more pullback in the market. This girl comes down around 120. I'll be nabbing some shares. Okay, nibble-in's my typical approach. Maybe buy a third of a position or half a position. Look for a move back down. If it comes back down to this 110, buy it there. If it can come in here at the 120, you buy it. It goes back up and sets up to break out to new highs. You can add to your position there. Okay, so you're not always adding to your position at higher prices, and you're not always adding to your position at lower prices. You come in with a game plan like I'm sharing here, and you kind of look at say, and typically what I would suggest is don't buy all your shares. Don't go 100% in your position right off the bat, unless you're getting a trend change like I was getting on that Peloton. I liked what I was seeing there, so I went full on position in there. And there was another one, Wrap Technologies. I went full on in that one too. So again, have a plan, follow it. It's really that simple. I talked about in that other video with the keys to being successful with this game as soon as possible. Okay, just a couple more. Night transportation, again, pulling off these new highs, Support here at $38 a share. I want to see what happens here. It looks like it's holding. You've got kind of squirrely weekly charts curling over, but you've got 2040 moving up, 200 moving up. It's in the area where it's got support. It's got the moving averages. I'm looking to pick up this KNX in this $38 area. Again, depending on what happens in the market, but it's got good support here. If you can get it at 36, great. You can see some support here at 36. If we get more of a pronounced pullback in the market, but night transportation, keep it on your watch list as well. All right, Franco-Nevada, I like this stock. I own this, took full profits on it, completely out of it now, flat, but I'm looking for this one. I want it at 120. See, rising moving average, 200 way down here. We are in an uptrend, strong move up, pull back here. It found support here at 125, came up. Again, if Goldies can take a little bit more of a dip, you might not get it here at 120. I want to get it at 120. That's where I'm looking at. About 120 to 122 is where I'd love to get this thing at and buy into this thing. May not get that. It may hold here at 125, and if it sets up to go up, if it does like a double bottom off this 125 here on the daily chart, looks to set up and gold looks to start making another move, I'll buy it here at 130-ish or whatever the chart tells me to get in at. Okay, FNV, definitely worth watching. Keep it on your list. AU, another one here. I think I talked about this last week. It's got support. It's actually right here at support around $23 a share, $24 a share. See how it behaves in this area. Goldies can hold and start moving. You can look to get on this thing and move and watch it move higher with you. Okay. It is sloppy though. Look at how sloppy it is. So keep that in mind. Bar by bar stopping is highly ill-advised because you'll get clipped. Even pivots, you probably want to give it some room off the pivots before you're getting out. Newmont, another gold issue, and again, beautiful, pronounced move up, pulled back here to the rising 20-period moving average on the weekly. It's getting close to a buy area. If you look to the left, where's support? $50 a share. That's where I'd like to see this come down. I'm buying it here at 50. Okay, you do have support here around 52.5 right here on this tail, at the rising 20. Again, that might be your line in the sand. If it rounds out here and holds and gold starts to shoot up higher, you may want to get it at 58 with a stop at 52.50. But best case scenario, I'd like to see it pull back more to 50, where support is, settle in, get long right there. Newmont is definitely an idea worth watching. Last but certainly not least, Apple. Big move up here, topping tail, island reversal here, beautiful move back down, and I like look at to the left. Where's the support? 320, right? Watch Apple pull back, see if it can. You get railroad tracks here at 20, you got the 40, you got the 200. Everything's moving up. Everything's moving up. Relative strength to the market. This is a great looking stock, but again, too frothy here. All right, look for a pullback to 320. Look for the market to settle in and turn around, and then we can look to get loose on this thing. I did say last but not least, but let's bring up the Qs again real quick. Qs are just like that, the Apple coming off a new high. Okay, pull back, and again, I talked about 220. That's where I'd like to see this thing settle in. So if you trade these ETFs, that would be my line in the sand. Again, that may change. It may fall all the way, just cut through it like a hot knife through butter, and go right down to the 200 period moving average. That could happen. Okay, so take what I'm giving you as information, and that's my bias and what I'm looking at right now, and what I'm anticipating is going to be happening. And now, is it going to happen exactly like that? Highly doubtful. Okay, but that is my general approach to where I think things are going to go, and that's how I'm playing it right now. And obviously, as things change and things unfold through the week, that may change, and that's the hallmark of being able to make a living at this. You've got to be able to change as the information becomes available and the charts start showing different information from supporting the bias that you have. You've got to change your bias. You can't just get married to your bias and say, look, no, this has got to go down. This is entire crap that this thing went this far. It's got to come down to 200, 220, like Tom's saying is going to. So I'm just going to bank on that happening. I'm going to put all my chips in that's going to happen. Don't do that. It's a good way to end your trading career. Lose all your money. Okay. Flow with it. Have a bias, have an approach, but then be curious, be open to changing it as the information presents itself that do not support, okay, what you were thinking would probably happen. All right, with that, I'll leave it to you. Have a great week. Trade well. Stick to your plans, people. Take your stops. Take your money off the table when you start hitting targets. Trade well. Hit me up, Tom@TomWillerTrading.com. If you got any questions, comment on the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.